In between episode 2 and episode 3, you had the Gendy original Clone Wars series. This was definitely a lesson for me in trying to keep up with things, because I went out, bought all the cans, you know, I got one of each flavor, beefaroni, mini ravioli, etc. It wasn't until later that I realized that inside the labels, you know, there were all these different backs. You know, I sort of assumed that on the back it either said you won or you lost, but you know, each of those comes in all these variations of characters to say, sorry you didn't win. And there's several boxed meals that don't look terribly appetizing to me, but there were pizza kits and that sort of thing. And again, printed on the inside of the box are a number of different characters. There's a lot of variations of those. There's an 8-pack here, there's a 6-pack as well that you got at places like Sam's Club or Costco. Moving on to Revenge of the Sith, in terms of candy, there was a huge promotion with M&Ms and Skittles. There were multiple bags to collect, and then on the inside of the bags there were little trivia or sayings or whatever, so the number of combinations of those is mind-blowing as well. Later on, actually during Halloween of that year, the upper 2 wrappers there were little single-serving size bags of candy like you get. And so the outer wrappers had images on them, and there were a lot of those. They actually made a big dump that you would buy at the, you know, they would display them at the store. So each candy had its own dump. And in each of the little bags, you know, there were lots of different bags of each flavor of candy. And then they all had a trivia question, and there were multiple answers to them. So again, there were a lot of those. Hollywood Gum, again, in France, did a number. These were just sort of multiple packs of gum, and you got stickers on those. In terms of cereal, Kellogg's had the license throughout most of the world. There's some examples of boxes there, as well as some cereal bars. Potato chips, again, Frito-Lay carried on the license in the US and Canada. You got some Pringles, which I guess are made by Procter & Gamble and sold in different countries in Europe. BN had a cookie promotion in France. And you had Kellogg's, or actually, you know, I guess Keebler is a subsidiary of Kellogg's, had a number of different cookie wrappers that you could collect. Pepsi, again, carried on with the license. Here's some Darth Dew. This is a little a translate out of a Slurpee machine. So that was their special purple Mountain Dew flavor. There were some exceptions to Pepsi. Coca-Cola had the license in Hong Kong. You could buy Red Bull in Thailand. So again, it does vary by country. There was a French promotion on chicken products, sort of frozen chicken products, and there's a ton of variations of those. These are some examples here. Fast food, Burger King had the license in the USA, so to sort of finish out the movies, it kind of returned to where it started. But McDonald's had some kids' meal boxes in France. Wells Blue Bunny in the USA, the lower left and center bottom, those are actually stickers that you would get put on the ice cream truck to tell you that they were selling those. Unfortunately, the ice cream truck that comes from my neighborhood never had any of these. There is a larger one that went on the back that has Darth Vader that warns the children not to run across the street. But I'm still looking for that one. The one in the lower right is actually like a cupcake thing that came with these little plastic rings. From Clone Wars 2009 and beyond, actually currently out there towards the bottom, there is a fruit snacks promotion. That seems to be, that box came from a Walgreens, but those are turning up right now in various grocery stores, sort of their various generic brands. Upper left, Free Gels in Brazil had these little boxes of candy. They're kind of a black licorice tasting candy, but a number of different boxes of those to collect. Kellogg's again had a sort of worldwide promotion. Again, none in the U.S., but there were quite a lot of boxes to track down in various countries. In Mexico, there was a promotion with Sabritas, which again is sort of the Frito-Lay partner. And those actually had a series of, I think it was 90 cards that you could collect. So you can imagine how many bags of chips you'd have to open to get that many cards. So it was pretty crazy. And then there were other countries in the world that also had those. Some of the European countries had these things called blicks, which were these little plastic things, which I guess it was some kind of game for the kids to play, but they had various colors and characters on them. In the entree category in the U.S., you had Lunchables. They actually went through 4 different promotions. The first promotion was a set of flip cards that were similar to an earlier cheese promotion that I mentioned. Then you had little mini posters on the back, 3 of those. You had little card games on the back, 4 different ones of those, and then the last one was a promotion tied into the Hasbro toys. And so each of those, could be found in multiple flavors, so it was a challenge to try to track all of those down. In the fast food category, McDonald's has had the license. They did 2 promotions in the United States, and you can see the Darth Vader bag there, and then you can see a Polly Pocket and Penguins of Madagascar bag, but what those are the bags before, and McDonald's has this thing where they promote the next one coming up, so the true completist has to get the bag before because it has the Star Wars logo on it, even if it's microscopic. In Brazil, you had these little snack cakes. That's sort of the white images in the middle, just 2 sides of the same thing. On the left-hand side, back to the McDonald's for a minute, the regional variations are one of the things that's interesting here. My McDonald's had, chocolate milk and white milk, but a friend in the Midwest, he had regular low-fat chocolate milk, whereas we had ultra-pasteurized low-fat chocolate milk. So it is fun to sort of track that down, and, it makes it kind of challenging and interesting. You had yogurt promotions. The ones along the bottom there are from Argentina. Those are sort of the drinkable yogurts. There were also sort of more standard yogurt cups that had cereals that you would mix in with the yogurt. And then the Yop is a Yoplait promotion from France, where you had little packaged multi-packs of small bottles and then large. The ones in the lower right, I mean, they're like this tall. It's a lot of yogurt to drink. This is all about variations. I've sort of mentioned that as we went throughout. The upper left are just 2 different sizes from that Empire Strikes Back promotion in Australia. One of them's 500 grams, one of them's 750 grams. Sometimes they have different backs and that sort of thing. The fruit snacks below that, some are fruit-flavored snacks, and some are fruit snacks, and I don't know, there's probably some legal reason they changed the name of that. The M&Ms there, the one on the left is sort of a standard bag that you would buy. These are sort of the hanging style that would go onto a peg kind of thing. The one beside it is actually like a salesman sample that's sort of, a real thick plastic that they went out to kind of get people to up their orders of this stuff, I guess. Here you've got all the way back to the beginning, the Wonder Bread promotion, a set of, there are 6 wrappers. I know there are at least 2 or 3 more variations of that. So, you've got 2 different bigs, 2 different thins, there's a country style, there's a regular, and they all come in different sizes and that sort of thing. It's challenging, to say the least, to track that stuff all down. In terms of preservation, I already mentioned that you want to, in general, get rid of the food unless the food kind of is the collectible, and then I guess you save it as long as you can, or at least that's what I do. The upper left there is sort of a chip bag that's been just sort of torn open. That happens to be like a big multi-pack wrapper of real thin kind of plastic. Below it, if you're more careful about how you open those things, you can do it to where the front of the bag looks real nice. Another approach you can take is to just sort of go in and you slit it along where it's been sealed underneath the fold, and then you can empty the contents out, eat them if you wish, and then clean it out and dry it and everything, and then put it away. Below that, you've got a R2D2 soda can. Sort of, I guess, the preferred way of doing these things is to try to leave them, unopened from the top. You put a couple of holes in the bottom and try to drain them out. But you can see, there's some sort of corrosion going on that particular can. So it's, but generally the cans sort of look nicer. But I'm not fanatical about that. In terms of cereal boxes, we've been nice to you all with these. Once you get them, you'll see you can actually open them without, you don't have to unglue or rip anything to open these things. You can actually eat the cereals out of them. But in general, they're obviously glued together. So for the older boxes, you kind of take what you can get because there's not that many of them. But the new boxes, if you're careful about opening them, you can just sort of slip